Teachers, nurses, sanitation workers, those were just some of the public sector workers closely watching a Senate bill with major implications for unions in Florida. This was a scene near the state capitol building on Monday, just 45 minutes before lawmakers began debating the merits of Senate Bill 1296. More than 150 public sector union employees urging lawmakers to vote no. The bill is sponsored by Republican Senator Jonathan Martin of Fort Myers. It would require unions to maintain engagement from 60% of eligible workers in order to remain certified. It comes just 3 years after lawmakers passed Senate Bill 256, and that measure ended automatic deduction of union dues from the workers' paychecks and imposed a similar 60% membership threshold. Critics of this SB 1296 call it, quote, the nail in the coffin for unions in Florida. A lot of folks are looking at this. Michael, how does this, there are two different classes of people that will be affected. This does not affect all the unions. First responders have been carved out. Explain that for us.
Well, it's a carve out, and by the way, it's like the one of dozens of nails that the legislature has been pounding into this coffin for quite some time. But yeah, it's a carve out for police, fire, and first responders. And the question is, that group tends to vote Republican. And the ones that are going to be subject to this legislation are teachers and more Democratic-leaning groups. So I think there's some constitutional questions.
And that's exactly leads me to Tara. Several folks who even are not critics, they're on the fence about it, have said that they have some really big constitutional concerns.
Well, we see
where does the source of that come from?
Well, we certainly want the right to associate and to be able to use our collective action. It's a constitutional right, but that's not as nearly important in this conversation as the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause. And to treat two classes of unions differently with what looks like political motivation is ripe for litigation. And what we keep seeing over and over and over in the state of Florida is that our leaders continue to pivot us to the Florida Supreme Court to answer some of these questions that we know have constitutional principles in the United States Constitution. And so I think really what we're wondering is, will those teachers, will those hospitalists, will those folks that have been really targeted from this be treated equally under the law?
Because just to be clear for our viewers, the bill does not impact unions that represent police officers, firefighters, or corrections officers.
Yes, and so hence creating a two-class system violating the 14th Amendment.